The story begins under the spotlight, where the hit idol group Was Girls is enjoying their peak, with fans screaming and crying in pure adoration. Ari Lee is everywhere, the face of the city. But for her brother Ajin, standing alone on the cold streets, this glory feels like a painful, distant memory. Back in the present, the glory is gone. Ajin eats humble food alone in a silent house, while his mother is too grief-stricken to even join him. Standing before his sister's closed door, he hesitates. The memory of her triggers a surge of rage, making our boy's eyes glow with a dangerous intensity. Rewind 3 months to where the nightmare began. Accused of bullying and drug use, Ari returned home, while the news cycle ruthlessly tore her reputation apart. She clung to her brother, sobbing that none of it was true. But in a world hungry for scandal, their family's trust was the only fragile shelter she had left. Back at school, the atmosphere shifts instantly. The moment Ajin steps through the door, the noisy classroom goes dead silent. Everyone knows who he is. Ignoring the terrified stares of his classmates, Ajin walks to his desk and drops his bag. The tension in the room is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Of course, trouble finds him. The class bully strolls over with a mocking grin, making a joke about Ari, completely unaware that he's poking a sleeping lion. Our boy can't even catch a break on his first day back. The class bullies immediately start circling, cracking sick jokes about his late sister just to get a reaction. They keep pushing, moving from demanding his sister's number to mocking his mother's low-paying job. Every word is calculated to hit Ajin exactly where it hurts. That's the final straw. Ajin snaps, grabbing the bully by the collar with a death grip. But even with Ajin's furious face inches away, the guy still has the audacity to run his mouth. Since words aren't getting through, Ajin lets his fist do the talking. He unleashes all his pent-up rage into a single, brutal punch that connects squarely with the bully's face. The punch draws blood, but it doesn't end the fight. While the lackeys laugh from the sidelines, the bully wipes his face, looking more murderous than afraid. Just as things are about to get ugly, Min Jae, the red-headed class boss, steps in. The bully thinks he's getting backup, but Minji's cold words make him freeze in his tracks. Min Jae, the class leader, finally steps in not to fight our boy, but to violently discipline his own lackey. One slap is all it takes for him to assert absolute dominance over the chaos. This is pure psychological torture. Min Jae claims he stopped the fight to save our boy medical bills, then forces the bleeding victim to thank him. It's a sick, twisted display of power. Having made his point, Min Jae casually wraps his arm around the victim, like they're best friends, and walks off laughing, leaving our boy alone to process the humiliation and helplessness. Exhausted and defeated, our boy returns home. The lights are on, but the air is thick with tension. It's the kind of heavy silence that warns you the storm isn't over yet. He checks on his sister, Ari, and finds a heartbreaking scene. The once shining idol is hiding under her covers, trembling as she doom scrolls through toxic lies and fake news about herself. Our boy can't watch this anymore. He snatches the phone to stop the torture, but Ari is spiraling. She screams and fights back, her hysteria drawing their mother to the room in a panic. In the chaos, Ari lashes out blindly and accidentally smacks her mom right in the face with the phone. The shock hits the room instantly, but even in pain, their mom tries to de-escalate the situation. Looking at the happy family photo, the reality of their broken lives stings. They thought time would fix things, but instead, Ari locks her door. No matter how much our boy begs, she refuses to open it again. The next morning, the tension was suffocating. While Ari broke down inside her room, our boy leaned against the door, listening to her sobs and wondering how their lives had spiraled so far out of control. Trying to stay strong, he put on a brave face and headed out for school, only to run into his exhausted mother waiting for him downstairs. His mom pulled him into a tight embrace, whispering for him to stay strong. In this crumbling world, they only had each other to lean on for a moment of comfort. But that peace was shattered in an instant. The cyber wreckers lurking above spotted their targets and rushed down, like sharks smelling blood, cameras ready to roll. Cameras were shoved right into their faces, as the live stream chat exploded with hate. To these streamers, the family wasn't human, they were just content to be exploited for views. They surrounded the terrified pair, shouting questions about the drug rumors. One streamer even had the nerve to point directly at his mom, insulting her and demanding she speak up. His mom naively tried to defend her daughter's innocence, but that only fed the frenzy. Our boy desperately tried to shield her, begging her not to engage, but their voices were drowned out by the mockery. The commotion was so loud that it reached the apartment above. Ari stood on the balcony watching the circus below, and the last bit of hope in her eyes finally flickered out. The cyber wreckers downstairs aren't stopping. They're getting excited like sharks smelling blood. It's only now that our boy realizes the crushing emotional burden his family has been carrying, and he hoods up, desperate to shoulder some of that weight. He frantically pushes through the crowd, screaming at them to move so he can save his sister. But these people have lost their humanity. Instead of helping, they block his path, treating a desperate brother as just another content opportunity for their circus. Even worse are the bystanders, who care less about a human life and more about their property values dropping. Alone in this cold world, our boy sprints past the malice, desperate to catch the last thread of hope. But fate is cruel. By the time he bursts through the roof door, it's too late. All that remains are her neatly placed pink slippers, left behind by a girl who thought disappearing was the only way to unburden her family. In that moment, Ari leaves behind only her silhouette in the wind. She steps off the ledge, delivering the most tragic, final performance of her idol life. The world didn't get any kinder after the tragedy. Back at school, the classroom is filled with suffocating whispers. Our boy sits with his head down, enduring the sharp, indifferent gazes of his classmates. There's no sympathy here, only mockery as they gossip about Ari's death like it's a joke. They ruthlessly laugh at the showgirl, completely ignoring that her grieving brother is right there listening to every word. Hearing their laughter, our boy starts hyperventilating, shaking with rage and grief. He can't stop the nightmare from replaying in his mind the image of his sister on that ledge as a trauma that refuses to fade. And the streamers in his memory are pure evil. Instead of horror at a life lost, they shout insults and cheer as donations roll in from the record-breaking views. This hellish celebration of death is sparking a fire of vengeance that won't be extinguished. The scene down below is absolutely sickening. Instead of worrying, these cyber wreckers are complaining that she chose a bad day to die, treating a tragedy like a content inconvenience. Our boy finally bursts onto the scene. Seeing his sister on the edge, his heart stops, and he screams at the top of his lungs, begging her to step back from the ledge. He tries to rush into the building, but in his panic, he steps on someone's foot and takes a hard fall. Before he can even recover, he's blocked. It's the streamer he tripped over, looking annoyed that our boy spoiled his shot. But then our boy sees the phone screen the chat is full of filth, mocking his sister and betting on her death. That's it. Something snaps. Our boy doesn't say a word, he just swings, blasting the streamer and his phone right into the pavement. Our boy pounces on him like a wild animal, choking him out. But look at the crowd, they aren't stopping it. They're filming the fight like it's just more entertainment. Even while getting choked out, the streamer has the nerve to whine about his lost revenue. That's the wrong thing to say. Our boy's eye glows yellow as pure rage takes over. Memories flood back, images of his sister being tormented, stalked, and broken by these exact kinds of parasites. They are the reason she's on that ledge. With a roar of pure hatred, he channels all his fury into one devastating punch, smashing the streamer's face into the ground. Lesson learned the hard way. Surrounded by these cyber wreckers holding their selfie sticks like weapons, our boy is exhausted, but they just keep spinning lies for their live streams. Hearing them still spreading lies about bullying, our boy screams the truth, but his desperate defense is just treated as more content for their chat rooms. Flashing back to that desperate moment, right in front of countless cold lenses, his sister whispered her final apology to her family and let go. Collapsing to his knees, our boy watches helplessly as she falls, while the cold-blooded streamers around him are only worried about whether they got the shot. The tragedy lands with a sickening thud. Disgustingly, instead of showing mercy, these vultures rush in to film the body, desperate for that exclusive close-up. The vibrant idol Ari Lee passed away with thousands watching live, leaving our boy alone in the funeral hall with nothing but her cold portrait and endless regret. 2 weeks later, life seems to have moved on. But hearing his classmates still gossiping casually about his sister's death, our boy's eyes turn ice cold. Memories flood back. There was a time in the classroom when our boy tried to stand his ground against the endless harassment. But reality is harsh. Min Jae and his crew easily crushed that tiny spark of resistance, reminding him of the brutal pecking order. Min Jae didn't just throw punches, he flashed that fake smile. Even back then, he was using money to manipulate people into his twisted schemes. On the rooftop, the wind howls as our boy spirals into regret. He keeps asking himself if things would have been different had he been stronger for her. Just as he thinks about saving her, A sharp blow snaps him back to reality. Jaitai accidentally throws a phone at his head, smirking the whole time. These guys are treating bullying like a sport. Jaitai claims his hand slipped, while Min-jae stands by with his phone, ready to record the show. Our boy instinctively moves to pick it up, only to get slapped away. Jaitai mocks him, saying his family's bad luck might be contagious. Annoyed that our boy is taking the abuse like a corpse, Jaitai grabs his collar. He's desperate to provoke a reaction, wanting to see him snap again. As the fists fly, our boy hates himself for his weakness. Meanwhile, Min-jae films the brutal beatdown like it's some sick rhythm game, counting along. As the timer hits 0, Min-jae cuts the recording. To these scumbags, the brutal beating was just content for their next viral video. Even though they have the footage, Jaitai decides to throw in one last cheap shot, just to make sure our boy stays down. As the gang runs off laughing, our boy is left broken on the concrete, trembling from both the pain and the humiliation. Meanwhile, the bullies are celebrating their masterpiece, ready to upload the fake footage and cash in on Ajin's misery. But Min-jae isn't just here for fun. He violently reminds his lackey that they need to do a professional job if they want that big payout. Suddenly, a mysterious blue-haired girl walks through the crowd, her presence immediately catching the attention of Min-jae and his crew. She ignores the creeps and stands directly over our boy, looking down at him with a cold stare, challenging him to get back up. Seol doesn't give our boy a moment to breathe, screaming that the bastards who killed his sister are right here in this school. Ajin, lying in a pool of his own blood, can barely process the shock. Flashback to moments ago, where this red-haired punk was bragging on the phone. For him, simply beating up our boy wasn't enough. He needed more dramatic footage to impress his handlers. The idiot mistakes Seol for a fan and starts bragging about the market price for these videos. But his smile vanishes instantly when Seol's expression turns demonic, asking, "How much?" before delivering swift justice. Back in the present, having dealt with the trash, Seol walks toward our shattered protagonist. In his dazed state, Ajin sees his late sister overlapping with the angry girl before him, her accusations piercing his soul. Seol grabs her hair in frustration. She knows this despair too well. Hearing the brutal truth, our boy can only let out a dry, bitter laugh. It's the only reaction he has left. Seol's words cut deep, exposing the real rot. It wasn't just the bullies at school. It was the adults next door, the neighbors who looked away. Everyone who stayed silent was an accomplice to Ari's suffering. The hallucination of his sister points an accusing finger. "You just sat there and watched, didn't you?" That breaks him completely. Seeing him shattered, Seol decides to hold back the rest and turns to leave. Meanwhile, a phone screen lights up with Ajin's profile. It seems the hunting game involving revenge and viral traffic is just getting started. Digging deeper, Seol quickly pieces the puzzle together. Since the bullies are organized, she realizes our boy Ajin is the next target, meaning there's a bigger boss pulling the strings. To catch the big fish, you start with the bait. Seol stands on the rooftop edge, locking her sights on the red-haired thug, Min-jae, who's busy on a call below. Completely oblivious to the danger behind him, the red-haired punk is busy haggling with his boss, trying to squeeze more money out of the footage he secretly filmed of our boy. Min-jae nearly jumps out of his skin when Seol whispers in his ear. He clearly wasn't expecting anyone to eavesdrop on his shady deal up on the roof. He quotes 5 million won, but the moment he sees it's a girl, his fear turns into sleaziness. He smirks, thinking he can offer a disgusting student discount instead. Talk about a death wish. This creep touches her face and suggests lowering the price in exchange for sexual favors, completely unaware he's provoking a predator. The response is instant and brutal. Seol doesn't waste breath on words. She physically destroys him before he can finish his sentence, leaving him face down on the concrete. Moments later, Seol claims her prizes phone and uses him as a chair. With the bully pinned and bleeding, she's ready to start the real interrogation. Meanwhile, Minji's lackey, Jaitai, notices his boss is missing. Ignoring the screaming teacher, he casually stretches and heads out, having no idea what just happened on the roof. While Seol is busy confronting Min-jae with the phone she snagged, Jaitai spots an opening and creeps up behind her like a predator. Without warning, he lands a brutal sucker punch right on her face. That hit was heavy enough to send anyone reeling. But instead of praise, Jaitai gets an earful from Min-jae, who storms out screaming at his partner for nearly ruining the plan with his recklessness. Grumbling about getting paid extra for this mess, Jaitai stomps the ground and charges forward like a bull, forcing Seol to make a run for it. He reaches out, thinking he's got her cornered, but Seal ducks at the last second. Jaitai's momentum works against him, and he slams face first into the floor. Instead of panicking, Seal stands over the fallen thug with a smirk, taunting him. Even as he screams threats through bloody teeth, she just coolly signals that he's got no chance. Deciding she's had enough fun, Seal prepares to bail. While Min-jae is still screaming useless orders from the back, she launches herself into action. Leaving the two idiots tripping over themselves, Seal makes a daring exit through the window, securing the stolen phone while the bullies scramble to chase her. Just as the redhead is screaming empty threats at our boy, a shadow drops from above. Seal interrupts his tantrum with a devastating flying kick before he can even make a move. The impact is massive, instantly crushing their defense. As the dust settles, Seal lands gracefully, leaving the two so-called tough guys kneeling in the debris, completely humiliated. Before the redhead can retaliate, he notices something familiar in her hand. Turns out, Seal didn't just kick him. She swiped his phone midair and is now cheekily waving his own device back at him. As cries of thief echo down the hall, Seal vanishes, leaving our boy to face the music alone. He stands silently, taking the heat from the teachers who arrived too late to see what really happened. Stepping back into the hallway, things get even colder. Students whisper and stare, treating him like a plague, loudly wondering why he hasn't transferred yet, and blaming him for ruining the school's reputation. The gossip turns cruel as they bring up his late sister, Ari, claiming she was cursed to have trash like him for a brother. Hearing this, our boy's yellow eye flickers with suppressed rage, barely holding himself back from snapping. Just as the suffocation becomes unbearable, the roar of an engine breaks his focus. He looks out the window to see the blue-haired girl on her bike, cheerfully waving at him like she didn't just assault two students. Over in the bully's corner, Min-jae hands out the cash with a sneer. Even though Jaitai looks furious, he knows his place and takes the money without a fight. But Min-jae is desperate. He needs his phone back, his main source of income, but his goons are hesitant, knowing how tough it is to catch the thief who took it. Seeing them hesitate, Min-jae drops a bomb, 20 times the usual pay. Hearing 10 million won, the goons completely lose their minds, forgetting all about the danger. Money talks. The gang gets hyped up instantly, promising extreme violence to get the job done. Min-jae just smirks, already planning his next luxury shopping spree. Meanwhile, our boy Ajin walks alone, looking heavy-hearted. He's haunted by memories of his sister Ari, recalling the suffocating moment she was cornered by cameras and lies. Just as the painful memories threaten to overwhelm him, a brutal punch from reality suddenly snaps everything back into focus. The noise of the world is drowning him out. No matter how loud he screams the truth, nobody listens, except for a lingering vision of that blue-haired girl in his mind. A sharp smack to the back of the head snaps our boy back to reality. He was so zoned out, he didn't even notice someone creeping up behind him. This smirk-wearing punk gets straight to the point, flashing a photo of the blue-haired girl. Our boy recognizes her instantly but plays dumb to protect her. The bully is suspicious and starts making gross comments about her. Our boy, clearly disgusted and having none of it, tries to walk away. But he's not getting off that easy. Dropping a threatening name, the bully forcibly wraps an arm around our boy and drags him off to a secluded spot. Cornered in a back alley, the punk lights up while waiting for backup. When our boy says he's tired and wants to leave, the mood shifts instantly. As soon as he tries to turn away, he gets grabbed by the collar. The bully spits out his cigarette aggressively, dropping the friendly act. Just as the thug grabs our boy by the collar, Seal steps in out of nowhere, seizing the bully by his hair to stop the assault. Before he can even process her mocking words, Seal delivers a devastating kick straight to his face, knocking him out cold instantly. After dropping the thug, Seal casually turns to our boy, teasing him about following her and ignoring the danger still lurking around. The banter is cut short as a bat swings from behind, but our boy instinctively steps in, taking the brutal hit meant for Seal. The impact shatters the baseball bat instantly, but the thugs are terrified to see our boy standing firm, barely fazed despite the bleeding. Seeing the ambush fail, the ringleader steps out of the shadows with more thugs, now fully convinced that our boy is working with Seal. As the gang yells about dragging them to their boss Min-jae, our boy's eyes glow with lethal intent, and Seal launches right back into the fight. Dull thuds echo through the alleyway as violence unfolds in the shadows. You can't see the full picture yet, but the brutal atmosphere screams trouble. Min-jae wraps an arm around our boy Ajin, feigning an apology for what happened at school. But with that smirk plastered on his face, you know he's up to no good. Dropping the act, he points to the girl getting stomped on by his goons. He demands to know who she is, suspecting she's some tough transfer student sent to cause trouble. Our boy sticks to his story and claims he doesn't know her. Min-jae doesn't buy it for a second and instantly snaps, delivering a brutal punch straight to Ajin's face. Looking down at Ajin trembling on the ground, Min-jae grins sadistically. He makes it clear he's got plenty of time to keep beating him until his memory miraculously returns. Even while pinned down, our boy's yellow eyes burn with suppressed rage. That defiant glare just pisses Min-jae off even more. Losing his patience, Min-jae goes into a frenzy, raining down heavy blows one after another while screaming for answers that aren't coming. While his lackeys cheer from the sidelines, Min-jae grabs Ajin by the collar and hauls him up, checking if the beating finally broke his silence. Blood dripping from his face, our boy still refuses to crack. Furious, Min-jae delivers a finishing blow that sends Ajin crashing hard to the pavement. Realizing he won't get anything out of Ajin, Min-jae turns his attention to the girl. He orders his men to drag her up and search her, shifting the danger directly onto her. The thugs are clumsily handling Seol's unconscious body, complaining about the weight while snatching a phone to document their dirty work. Ignoring his clumsy crew, Jae-tae is busy filming the scene to brag to his boss Min-jae, while his lackey hypes him up, oblivious to the shift in atmosphere. The mood shifts instantly when they check on Seol and realize she isn't breathing. Panic sets in as the thugs realize they might have just crossed the line from bullying to murder. Terror breaks their ranks, and one tries to flee, only to be stopped by a violent slap from Jae-tae. He refuses to accept she's dead, desperate to maintain control. Calling his men cowards, Jae-tae shoves them aside to check for himself. Convinced Seol is faking it, he decides to beat the truth out of her. Staring down at Seol's motionless body, Jae-tae clenches his fist, threatening to wake her up with another brutal hit. He doesn't hesitate, landing a massive punch right on her face. But as a sickening crunch echoes, the one screaming in pain isn't the victim, but Jae-tae himself. Seol was waiting for this exact moment. Taking the hit, she launches a counterattack that leaves Jae-tae reeling. She spits out blood, revealing she was never unconscious to begin with. Seol proves she's not just a driver, she can fight too. She instantly counters the thug's grab with a brutal punch to the face, sending him reeling back. But another goon sees an opening to impress his boss. While Seol is distracted, he sneaks up from behind and violently grabs her by the hair. He yanks her head back with full force, forcing Seol into a vulnerable, painful position. It's a dirty move, but effective. The thug starts trash-talking, thinking he's won. But suddenly crack. Before anyone realizes what happened, Seol makes him pay for that grip. The guy collapses in pain, trembling on the floor. Seol mocks him, but humiliation only drives him to desperation. He grabs a jagged piece of wood, ready to escalate. He lunges with murderous intent, screaming like a maniac. Seol realizes a split second too late that he's actually trying to kill her this time. Wham! Just in the nick of time, our boy Ajin drops from above, introducing the thug's face to a heavy fire extinguisher and saving the day. Facing a mob of angry thugs, a head-on fight wasn't the best option. Pulling the pin on a fire extinguisher, they unleashed a massive cloud of white powder, instantly blinding their attackers and creating the perfect smoke screen. Using the chaos as cover, the battered duo made a run for it through the smoke. Despite their injuries, Seol couldn't help but complain about our boy's slow pace, knowing that stopping now meant getting their heads bashed in. Bursting out of the alley, they found their getaway vehicle waiting. Seol threw open the door of a black sedan, urging a stunned Ajin to get in immediately before peeling away from the danger. With the immediate danger gone, the atmosphere inside the car shifted. Watching Seol drive like a pro while wearing a school uniform confused our boy, but she quickly shut him down. She hasn't been a high schooler for a long time. Deciding it was time for total honesty, Seol dropped the act at the red light. With a mischievous grin, she revealed her true identity. She wasn't just a fighter, she was actually a cyber wrecker herself. That confession hit harder than any punch. Considering cyber wreckers were responsible for his sister's tragedy, finding out his savior belonged to that same toxic world left our boy completely speechless. While Ajin struggled to process the shocking revelation, Seol's attention had already drifted. She was far more concerned with her reflection, freaking out over a sudden nosebleed rather than the heavy news she just dropped. Back inside the car, the tension is suffocating. Seol completely misunderstands our boy's intentions. Seeing him battered, bloody, and with those glowing yellow eyes, she assumes he's just another desperate content creator looking for a viral moment. Our boy's trembling fist does all the talking. If she had any part in his sister's death, he's ready to end her right there. Sensing his genuine bloodlust, Seol is shaking with fear, but she plays her only card to survive. Vital information about Ari that he needs to hear. As the traffic light turns green, the truth drops. Seol reveals that the people who drove his sister to suicide aren't distant internet trolls, they actually attend his school. The target for his revenge just became terrifyingly close. Meanwhile, the villain Min-jae is chilling at a bus stop. When his lackeys stumble and looking like they went through a meat grinder, he doesn't offer any sympathy. Instead, he immediately smacks them around, only caring about one thing: where's his phone with all the evidence? Min-jae is absolutely losing it, screaming curses and panicking. He realizes that the text he ignored earlier wasn't from his goons. It finally sinks in that someone else has his phone and all his dirty secrets. Holding their swollen faces, the lackeys try to explain why they failed. They claim the woman on the motorcycle was a monster, fighting with the instincts of a pro boxer. Jae-tae admits he was knocked out cold with a single punch, clearly traumatized by the beating. Min-jae just bursts out laughing at their excuse. A pro boxer on a motorcycle wiping out his strongest guys? To him, it sounds like the most ridiculous fairy tale ever invented just to cover up their own incompetence. But what he doesn't realize is that this ridiculous story is about to become his worst nightmare. Meanwhile, the goons are left confused and bruised, realizing our boy and the blue-haired girl are total strangers. But amidst the confusion, Min-jae suddenly connects the dots. This drama is perfect for the internet. Smelling a payday, Min-jae wastes no time. He frantically demands photos of the blue-haired chick, planning to sell this juicy scoop to the cyber wreckers for a quick profit. Back in the getaway car, things are tense. Seol, steering from the passenger seat, asks if our boy knows who started the rumors about his sister. His clueless reaction, however, leaves her completely speechless. Realizing our boy is a total normie, Seol breaks it down. She explains the dark world of cyber wreckers, people who hunt for controversy and destroy lives just for clicks and views. It clicks for our boy immediately. This is exactly what happened to Ari. The fabricated stories, the lies. Seeing his pain, Seol confirms the harsh truth: the entire scandal was manufactured. It goes deeper. Seol reveals the existence of drivers, the operatives, who research and fabricate the fake evidence to fuel the fire. She knows this world all too well. Ajin realizes the sources must be closer than he thought. Right in his own school. Seol confirms that the students involved, like the girl in the fake interview, are just low-level grunts paid to lie. Our boy is shocked by how much she knows. But Seol's expression suggests that the rot in their school goes far deeper than just a few fake rumors. The atmosphere in the getaway car is suffocating. Battered and bloody, our boy is seething with rage, his glowing yellow eyes fixing on a singular goal. He's going to hunt down every single one of the people responsible. Meanwhile, Min-jae is busy snitching to the boss, Jung-gu. He sends over a sneak photo, and Jung-gu immediately recognizes the blue-haired driver hanging around our boy, realizing this situation is more complicated than he thought. Reminiscing about the payout they got for destroying Ari's life, Jung-gu decides to take matters into his own hands. He orders a school uniform in his massive size. He's planning to pay the school a personal visit to meet this mystery girl. Hearing the promise of another massive payout, Min-jae bows and scrapes over the phone. However, his lackey doesn't share the excitement, looking absolutely terrified, knowing that if the big boss is getting involved, things are about to get violent. Blinded by greed, Min-jae bursts into maniacal laughter, fantasizing about the money coming his way. His delusional celebration only makes the vibe more ominous for everyone else watching. Back with our protagonists, Seol pulls up to a secluded luxury house in the hills. After a chaotic night, they've finally reached her base of operations. Seol casually invites him inside, like it's no big deal. Our boy hesitates at the threshold, looking a bit out of place as he steps into his mysterious partner's private world for the first time. While Seol collapses onto the couch complaining about her back, our boy's attention is drawn to a framed family photo on the wall, a happy memory taken in front of legend food. While our boy wipes the blood from his mouth, recovering from the fight, Seol seems completely unbothered, lazily adjusting herself on the sofa to get comfortable. Suddenly, she springs up with renewed energy, getting right in our boy's face and pointing to her younger self in the photo, trying to lighten the mood. But our boy's suspicious glare clearly annoys her. Seol instantly puts him in a headlock to teach him a lesson before violently shoving him away. That shove snaps something in our boy. Ignoring his pain, He shouts in frustration, accusing her of being just like the cyber wreckers who destroyed his family. He points out her fancy house and cars, thinking she's just a rich tourist playing hero. But his words strike a nerve, and Seol's expression turns terrifyingly dark. But Seol quickly suppresses her rage, letting out a bitter chuckle. She hints that the family in the photo also suffered from wreckers, then pats his shoulder, telling him to go clear his head. As the water washes over him, our boy finally calms down. Thinking back to that photo, he suddenly realizes where he's heard of legend food. It was a massive tragedy from his childhood. A sudden flashback takes our boy to a time when his family was still whole. Despite the news screaming about a garbage dumpling scandal, his parents argued over the food while the kids remained blissfully ignorant. Back then, young Ajin and Ari didn't care about the controversy. They just loved the taste. Looking back, this innocent family dinner is laced with a bitter irony. The news report reveals the grim fate of the dumpling factory owner Seol's family. Piecing it together in the shower, our boy realizes his new partner isn't just a driver. She's a survivor of the same kind of cyber witch hunt. Back in the present, Seol is drowning her demons in lager. When our boy tries to reach for a drink, she instantly snaps into defensive mode, warning him off her stash. Denied the beer, our boy settles for the fried dumplings. Seol watches him eat the very food that ruined her life, cracking a joke about his pajamas to hide the pain in her eyes. Sensing a moment of connection, Ajin gets to the point. He's seen what she can do, and he wants her to teach him how to fight so he can take his own revenge. The mood shifts instantly. Seol slams her drink down, stopping him in his tracks. Before he learns how to fight, he needs to ask the only question that matters. Did she actually succeed in her revenge? Before our boy can even react, Seol snatches his food and drops the bombshell. They're going to get revenge together. Seeing his confusion, Seol explains the plan. She'll be the unbreakable shield, while our boy acts as the spear to strike their enemies down. Our boy cracks a smile at the analogy, but then ruins the moment with a logical question. What if they just shoot us with guns? Clearly, logic wasn't the answer. Seol immediately starts beating him up for ruining her cool metaphor, leaving our boy begging for mercy. Watching her laugh, our boy feels a rare moment of peace. Knowing she survived her own tragedy and kept fighting makes him trust her completely. As the night deepens around their hideout, any remaining doubts fade away. Two broken souls have finally become a true team. But elsewhere, the trouble is just beginning. Min Jae is already hatching a plan to capture Seol and hand her over to the big boss Jungu. Back with the villains, Min Jae is losing his patience. He grabs Jaitai by the neck, furious that his incompetent crew is asking for payment without results. Before Jaitai can explain, Min Jae raises his phone like a weapon. The blonde lackey watches in terror, realizing their leader is unhinged enough to smash anyone nearby. Min Jae pauses, revealing the real issue. The big boss, Jungu, hasn't paid them yet. Jaitai trembles, promising the cash will come as soon as they get the boss on site. To lure the cautious Jungu out, Min Jae hatches a plan. If they mess with our boy Ajin, his dangerous partner Seol is guaranteed to show up, forcing the boss's hand. The villains agree on the scheme. Jaitai grins menacingly, deciding to gather everyone in one place for a chaotic trap. Meanwhile, our boy is trying to enjoy a rare peaceful Saturday morning, but his sleep is rudely interrupted by a buzzing phone. The voice on the other end is Jaitai, the thug our boy previously educated with a fire extinguisher. He's calling to taunt Ajin straight into their trap. The silence of the night is shattered by a nightmare phone call. The scumbags aren't just taunting him. They are in the hospital room, standing right next to his unconscious mother. Seeing the photos, Ajin's eyes glow orange with pure rage. They're not just threatening his mom. They're demanding he bring his girlfriend into the trap too. Extreme anger gives way to cold calculation. Remembering his pact, our boy decides right then and there to become the sharp spear that will pierce through their defenses. Meanwhile at the hospital, Min Jae is putting on a tough front, but the sweat pouring down his face gives him away. He knows they might have bitten off more than they can chew. Even the lackeys are starting to get cold feet. Looking at the helpless patient, the blonde goon realizes they've crossed a line that should never be crossed. The door slides open, and Min Jae immediately jumps up with a cocky grin, trying to intimidate the new arrival. He has no idea the vibe in the room is about to shift drastically. But the visitor isn't here to chat. With a cold gaze, he assesses the situation and instantly grabs the blonde goon by the throat, silencing the room. Min Jae freezes in shock. The man doesn't look like a victim at all. Instead, he glares at the trembling bully and asks a simple, terrifying question. Whose bright idea was this? The big boss, Jungu, has finally stepped out of the shadows. He grips Minji's head, calmly demanding to know whose bright idea it was to change the location to the hospital. Jungu turns his attention to Jitai next. He sees right through these thugs, calling out their greed immediately, while Jitai tries to play dumb to save his own skin. There's no room for excuses here. Jungu delivers a brutal backhand smack. He gave specific instructions to meet at the school, and these guys completely failed to listen. Another heavy blow sends Jitai crashing to the floor. Jungu looks down at the mess he's made, clearly disappointed that his hired muscle can't follow even the simplest orders. After that brutal discipline session, the bullies are left battered and fuming in the corner. Min-jae is terrified but angry, just waiting for their target to show up. Suddenly, the door is smashed open. Our boy bursts into the room, gasping for air. He ignores the danger, screaming out for his mom in pure panic. The villains are stunned that he actually showed up. But before they can react, our boy sprints right past them, focused entirely on reaching the bedside. He collapses by the bed, checking on his mom with desperate relief. But he's not alone. The boss, Jungu, is standing right there in the shadows, watching our boy walk right into the trap. Seeing these monsters causing trouble in a hospital, our boy snaps. He rushes in and grabs the attacker's wrist with a bone-crushing grip, freezing the punk in his tracks. Before the blonde punk can react, the long-haired leader steps up. Instead of panicking, he looks at our boy like he's been expecting him, exuding a creepy sense of calm. Skipping the small talk, he pulls out his phone and flashes a picture of Seal. He gets straight to the point, asking if our boy is working with her, proving they've done their homework. Our boy doesn't answer immediately. He scans the room and notices Min-jae is sweating buckets and looking terrified. It seems these guys are scared of something way worse than just a fistfight. Sensing a trap, our boy decides to play dumb and denies knowing her. But the guy isn't buying it for a second, and the tension in the room instantly spikes. Min-jae instantly loses it at the lie. Having been beaten up by the duo just yesterday, hearing our boy deny it sends him into a rage, blowing our boy's cover immediately. With the lie exposed, the enemy plays their dirtiest card. Pinning down a hostage, the long-haired guy implies that if our boy doesn't cooperate, his comatose mother right there in the room might never wake up. To prove a point, the interrogator starts brutally beating his own men right there in the ward. Faced with such ruthless lunatics, our boy lets out a sigh. Looks like playing nice is no longer an option. Our boy isn't here to play nice. He grabs the guy by the hair, making it clear that lying about his sister is the wrong move. The force of the blow leaves the bystanders in shock. Our guy absolutely hates liars, and he's taking out all his frustration on this poor goon. The guy is completely dazed, crying out and asking why he's the one getting beaten to a pulp instead of the others. Desperate to save his own skin, he tries to throw his partner under the bus. But hearing him beg only seems to amuse our boy. Our boy lets out a cold smirk at the pathetic display. "You've got guts," he says, winding up for a strike that's going to hurt a lot more. The impact is devastating, delivering a brutal blow that instantly shuts down any further excuses. Finally, silence. The guy collapses to the floor, completely out cold, while our boy looks down at his handiwork without a shred of pity. Just then, a chilling voice interrupts. The mastermind with the snake tattoo finally reveals himself, smirking as he asks a twisted trivia question. "Which one of us do you think killed your sister?" The question freezes our boy in his tracks. The real monster has arrived. Our boy has the thug pinned down, demanding answers. He's not asking politely, he's crushing him until he reveals who destroyed Ari and their mother. The ugly truth spills out. It wasn't random. Min-jae and Jitai were the ones who staged the fake videos and rumors to destroy Ari's reputation. But these school bullies were just puppets. The one pulling the strings, turning them into absolute monsters, was a man named Jungu. It was a paid hit job. Money trickled down from Jungu to Min-jae, and finally to Jitai for the dirty work, all to ruin an innocent girl's life. Speaking of the devil, Jungu is right there. Seeing his underling battered, he shows zero empathy, only calculating how long it'll take to fix his broken tool. Our boy can't comprehend such senseless malice. Consumed by rage, he decides to cut through the middleman and confront the boss directly. With the target right in front of him, our boy doesn't hesitate. He screams at the tattooed man, demanding to know every single detail about his sister. His roar echoes through the room. Facing our boy's murderous glare, Jungu finally turns around, looking more amused than threatened by the outburst. Snapping at their mockery, our boy finally loses it. He lunges forward with a primal roar and lands a solid punch right on the tattooed boss's face. He tries to follow up, but the reality check is instant. The villain easily blocks the strike and crushes our boy's head with one hand, showing the terrifying gap in power. Holding our boy in place with just 2 fingers, Jungu looks down on him like an insect, arrogantly promising to reveal who actually killed his sister later on. Bored with his toy, Jungu tosses our boy to the floor like trash. His terrified lackeys bow deeply as the boss walks away, leaving total devastation in his wake. Before leaving, he twists the knife one last time with a threat about our boy's mother. The door slams shut, leaving Ajin alone, trembling with a mix of pure rage and helplessness. Just as he's trying to catch his breath, someone taps his shoulder. Our boy flinches in defense, expecting another attack, but turns to find something unexpected. It's a blonde guy sobbing his eyes out. Instead of attacking, he drops to his knees to beg for forgiveness, preparing to reveal the dark truth he's been hiding. Flashback time. This blonde kid was minding his own business until Min-jae smacked him. But instead of fighting back, he eagerly tries to impress the bully with what's on his screen. It turns out to be Ari Lee on her first day. The idol is just trying to study, unaware that she's already the center of attention and the target of hidden cameras. Min-jae calls him a pervert, but the guy proudly reveals he runs the Major Wiz Girls fan account. He's actually bragging about how many journalists are sliding into his DMs for these exclusive shots. The moment Min-jae hears the photos are worth cash, his eyes change. The kid tries to claim he has integrity as a fan, but Min-jae immediately forces him to hand over the account password. That was the turning point. Fueled by greed, Min-jae graduated from a typical school bully into a full-blown monster who monetizes privacy. 2 weeks later, the kid is basically Minji's punching bag and personal paparazzi. Min-jae is getting violent because the standard photos aren't bringing in enough views anymore. Mid-beating, a notification saves the kid's neck. A mysterious user slides into the DMs, offering triple the usual rate if they agree to take specific, staged photos of Ari. The offer is so high that even the battered cameraman is shocked. Min-jae, despite his greed, assumes he's being trolled because the money sounds too good to be true. Min-jae thought he was trolling a scammer by demanding payment upfront, but when the bank notification actually dinged with a massive sum, his arrogance instantly turned into shock. Realizing this is real, Min-jae completely loses it. He grabs his confused partner Jaitai, screaming maniacally about how they're going to be filthy rich. At first, the job seemed too easy. All they had to do was lurk in the shadows like rats, snapping photos of an unsuspecting Ari going about her daily school life. Min-jae felt like a genius. Sniping photos from a distance and sending them off for easy cash felt like a game, and the 2 bullies couldn't stop laughing at their luck. While Min-jae was busy celebrating with a drink, Jaitai started getting cold feet about the consequences. But Min-jae just brushed him off, mocking him for being a coward. But suddenly, the client raised the stakes with fabricated demands. Ari had to be seen smoking with bullies. Min-jae crushed his cigarette pack in frustration. This was getting complicated. Just as Min-jae was about to complain, a photo popped up on his screen, a picture of them, taken from right behind where they sat. The predators had just become the prey. Min-jae stares at his phone, sweating bullets. The mysterious client not only sent the money but knew his real name instantly, shattering his sense of anonymity. But greed quickly overrides fear. Seeing a golden opportunity, he immediately promises the client he can ruin the target within 3 days using a group of girls. He excitedly tells his accomplice that this job pays triple the usual rate, then stares intensely at the screen, waiting anxiously for the final confirmation. The deposit hits with a ping, and Min-jae nearly drops his jaw at the amount. The client even promises double the payment if he secures high-quality footage. Completely bought by the money, Min-jae bows respectfully to his phone screen, while his partner looks on, seemingly realizing they've just crossed a dangerous line. The scene shifts to the tragic past. Ari sits alone, surrounded by classmates who mask their invasive harassment as innocent admiration. They bombard her with invasive questions about money and idols. Ari looks trapped and suffocated, unaware that this harassment is just the beginning of their trap. Just when Ari didn't know what to do about the harassment, a random girl bursts in, grabs her hand, and drags her away from the crowd. After getting to safety, this girl, Haeyoung, comforts Ari and invites her for snacks. For Ari, who has no friends and is always on a strict diet, this kindness feels like a miracle. The two hit it off, and innocent Ari thinks she finally made a real friend. She has no idea this is all a scripted setup. Min Jae is watching everything from the shadows. He's reporting to his boss while pretending to feel guilty, since he used to be Ari's fan, but money speaks louder than his conscience. A few days later, instead of getting snacks, Haeon leads Ari to a secluded spot. She deliberately reveals a nasty bruise, lying that her abusive father did it to gain Ari's sympathy. Ari, being the sweet soul she is, rushes to comfort her. But while she's distracted, Haeon pulls out a lit cigarette instead of a tissue. The trap to ruin Ari is officially set. The flashback reveals the sickening truth. Using friendship as leverage, these scum pressured Ari into holding a cigarette, trapping her with gaslighting tactics. The manipulator doubles down, invading Ari's personal space and claiming it's just for comfort, forcing her into a compromising position she couldn't escape. The moment Ari's trembling hand took the bait, the facade dropped. Their fake smiles turned into sneers as they realized their trap had sprung. Ari realized too late she was played. Min Jae stepped out from the shadows, phone in hand, capturing the fabricated proof they needed to ruin her career. With a single tap, the photo was uploaded, sealing Ari's fate. The group below watched on, complicit in this coordinated execution of her reputation. Back in the present, hearing this thug describe their systematic destruction as just reporting made our boy snap. He grabbed him, demanding to know the rest. Just as our boy was about to extract more answers, a sudden presence at the door interrupted him. Before he could even react, the atmosphere shifted drastically. It's Seol. She wastes no time, delivering a brutal flying kick straight to the informant's face. Looks like she's even angrier at this scum than our boy is. Just then, Seol strolls into the room like she owns the place. With her baton resting casually on her shoulder, she asks, "Hey, are you okay?" But our boy Ajin is running on fumes. As the golden rage in his eyes fades, the exhaustion hits him like a truck, and he collapses onto the floor. Seol was just about to complain that she didn't get all the info she wanted, but her annoyance turns to confusion when she sees the state Ajin is in.